This is Coop's dad, and this is personal to me.
Relationship.
Oh my God.
What do you think? Do you think it's better to rent right now or buy? Do you think it's always better to buy?
It's always better to buy.
All right,
Yeah, same Z.
we are good to go.
Are we filming?
We are rolling.
You're sure?
I'm positive.
Okay. We're at the EndOverdose headquarters with Theo, and thank you everybody for watching in the Coop's Advice podcast. I wanted to come back and circle back with Theo because it was never something that we had the idea of starting when Coop's Advice Foundation was formed to do podcasts. But for some reason, it just led me to doing podcasts, and you are our first podcast. And I wanted to circle back just to kind of touch base on how you've been doing, what's gone on in the last year on both of us, have a conversation about it. But for those of you that don't know who Theo is, Theo's journey to end overdose, he was a guy in a relationship with a girlfriend. He's a recovering addict. They were both struggling addicts at the time. If I have this story correctly, she passed from an overdose, which ultimately led you to wanting to do something about that and changing your life. You went through recovery. You got sober. You ultimately became an LA City paramedic and firefighter, predominantly LA City paramedic today. And during the course of the runs that you do, I think MacArthur Park primarily.
Yep, MacArthur Park.
There's just been a shit ton of overdoses and deaths, et cetera, primarily from fentanyl, opioids, and you want to do something about it. So in your line of work, you use naloxone, which is more commonly known as Narcan, to attempt to revive and save people that have overdosed from fentanyl. And that led you to create EndOverdose, whereby it's a charitable foundation of which you're providing online training, which is free, and also free Narcan to those after they've completed their training on how to use it and administer it, in attempts that other people can understand the severity of what's happening in our society with fentanyl and trying to save lives. And Coop reached out to you right before he passed, and I know you guys chatted. He was behind what you were doing, and one of the goals that he had was to support you, and he wanted to create some apparel and sell it, and the proceeds go to your to support you. The Coop's Foundation, from the very beginning, in every merch run that we've created, we have stuff specifically for EndOverdose, and all those proceeds go to you. And so we've been behind it. We've been behind you. You've been behind us. You've helped us in a number of different ways, in very significant ways. I thought it'd be just a good time to revisit our first podcast, see how you're doing, and see how, what we've all been doing. But I can tell you're a little tired today.
Oh no, I feel good.
No, but you're tired. When you came in here,
it's been it's been a grind. We've been, it's Christmas time. LA City is in chaos. Like last night, we had a bunch of overdoses. We didn't stop. Run after run after run after run. Bunch of fires going on in the city.
So you were working last night.
Oh, we were.
How long was your shift?
24 hours. So
of no sleep.
Yeah, so we'll do a 24-hour shift, off for a day, back on for a day, but most of the time guys are working 72, 48, 96 hours.
So you worked 24 hours the shift, and you got home when?
Like 7 in the morning, and then...
So we're here, you got here at about 11:15.
Yeah, about then.
So you slept?
I passed out on the couch. I meant to work out, and then I just was sitting on the couch, and I just fell asleep. And then Zedge called me. I was like, "Oh crap!" So I got moving. It was time to go.
This is what we love about you. It's like if I would have known that you're only going to have an hour of sleep after 24 hours up, doing your service, and you're coming into a podcast with me, we could have done this at a different time.
No, this is pretty standard. There was a day where we fought a house fire in Pico Union area, and a piece of roofing when we were doing overhaul fell on my face, and that's why I have a little scar right here. But it was more pronounced. It was like the fucking war wound right there.
Right.
And Zedge and I, after that, we filmed one of our EndOverdose in-house training videos. So
Right.
if you become an EndOverdose volunteer and become a trainer, you'll see this video of me and I look like a crazy person. I have like this cut in my face and I'm like, all right, this is how you do an EndOverdose training step by step. So yeah, this is.
So you mentioned it was pretty crazy with overdoses. I think in most people's world, when they think about paramedics, I think they think, and firefighters, probably mostly car crashes, car accidents, medical emergencies like heart attacks, and then there might be fires. I don't think fires are on the forefront. I don't think overdoses are on the forefront, but you're in downtown LA, and a typical day with you, a typical, like say, 24-hour shift, what does that look like and what you're doing?
Man, it's insane. So instantly you're going to have tones go off. So like new people lose their minds because at a fire station, there's alarms going off, there's bells, there's lights all the time. So we're just used to it, right? I've been there for a few years. And I mean, a lot of people don't realize that, what paramedics do. They're kind of an extension of the hospital outside. You're an extension of the doctor. So you use like 126 different drugs. You get trained to rapidly assess people. You use like $40,000 EKGs to assess people's hearts. And from the moment you come in, you're busy. And you're responding to everything. You're responding to every type of medical emergency. So that could be, a stabbing. We had a week where people just came to our fire station door and rang the doorbell and they had been stabbed.
Jeez.
Right? And then
this is indicative of where you are.
This is indicative
This
of where
isn't
we are.
like Beverly Hills.
No,
this isn't Palisades or Newport Beach or Laguna Beach where we live. We don't get that. We get like, the cat's missing.
Yeah, I've actually never had to rescue a cat. It's one call we haven't gone on. But MacArthur Park is one of the most highly densely populated areas in LA. It's also part of SPA 4 in LA County, which is one of the highest overdose rates per capita. It's also the birthplace of MS-13.
Right.
And so
it's a lot of violence.
There's a lot of violence, there's a lot of drug activity, and then there's just a lot of really old, a lot of really sick, very critically sick people that don't have the means to get health care.
Homeless part of it too?
Homeless is part of it. So you get really everything over there. And so like I was saying, like you'll go in the day, people call for every problem. Well, like last night, just to give you an example, we had like a run every hour. We had someone, got called out for a dead body for somebody in a tent that had passed away. Right after that, we got called for an overdose, someone just laying on a street corner, unconscious, not breathing, surrounded by people.
Do you know what they overdose from?
100% fentanyl. It's right now that is the most common thing. Really, like heroin doesn't really exist anymore. Prescription pills they're still being used, but a lot of the cases it's going to be fentanyl, or it's going to be a fentanyl and xylazine mixture, but you're not really going to be able to, a regular person isn't going to be able to tell that.
But Theo, when you say fentanyl, because what we're experiencing in our world, it's mostly illicit counterfeit pills or other drugs. It's with something else. It's not just somebody using fentanyl. Is what you're seeing in that district just using fentanyl, or is it just they're using other stuff and it's got fentanyl in it?
No, usually it's just a pill, right? And they'll smoke the pill, and that's just typically how it's sold, right? Or it can be a powder, but the people that live in MacArthur Park or live on the street in MacArthur Park or use drugs that way are specifically using it. But I mean, we go on overdoses for every age group. We go on it for 13-year-olds all the way up to 50-year-olds. And, whether that's in like there's luxury apartments downtown LA. I'm not going to name the names of them, but, they're very common overdose places.
Wow.
Right. And so you're dealing with everybody, you have this image of what someone overdosing looks like, and you think it's only this one type of person, somebody on the street that, is disheveled and maybe older.
Like the atypical picture of a drug addict.
Right. And so just kind of like
Skid Row.
a stereotype, right? But that's not the case. It's actually a wide spectrum of people that you would honestly never expect. And I can't tell you how many overdoses I've been on in some of the highest income earning, like penthouses, right? And it's a person laid out in their 20s, and it's insane. And most of the time, there's somebody with them. There's somebody with them that didn't know what to do or didn't understand what's happening. And for me, it's such a normal part of my day-to-day. I've responded to thousands of overdoses throughout my time just as a paramedic and a firefighter. And for us, it's one of the most simple revivals because of how often we do it. And we have all of the tools necessary to save somebody's life. And, that's really why we started EndOverdose, is to make sure that people, with a click of a button, you can get proper training and get naloxone. Should be available to you.
I've done your training,
yeah.
And it's simple. And if you forget it, I looked at the video twice just to make sure I understood it, and it was very simple. And my family carries it wherever we go. It's in our cars, and it's everywhere. Because I really feel that we're going to be at some shopping mall, some restaurant, some event, and someone's going to be unconscious, and most likely it's going to be a fentanyl overdose. That's what the statistics show today. That's most likely what it will be.
Yeah, and it's pretty baffling that right now, even with its over-the-counter status with all these availabilities, you should just automatically know where to get it. It shouldn't be an issue. Everyone can agree that accidental overdose shouldn't happen.
I think when we met in our first pod, at that time, correct me if I'm wrong, you were able to get it and get it distributed, but you really couldn't get it anywhere else. Maybe prescription?
Yeah, so
it wasn't easy to get a hold of. That's why you were trying to provide your platform to get it out there and train people.
Yeah, so we're actually... by the time this probably comes out on video, we'll have the second version of our online training, and it's actually going to be an application. And if you've ever used Duolingo before.
No, I don't even know what it is.
You've never used Duolingo?
No.
Harold's never used Duolingo. You got to use Duolingo.
I don't know what it is.
It's like a language learning app. It's got an owl. It's really fun. You should download it. Okay. Learn, another language is fun.
Is it like Chat GPT?
No. But they kind of gamify the way that you learn a language. It has haptics, so it's touch sensitivity. It uses audio feedback and then generated images every time you
the
get
word
something
pops up,
correct.
there's an image associated with it.
Yeah, and when you get something right, it gives you a little chime, something happy, and some coins go into a treasure chest.
So it's a game.
It's a game,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we're introducing into our new website is reward-based point systems and also audio feedback and haptics to make it a lot more engaging and to actually make it something that not only is something that's educational, but something you would want to do. And hopefully where we can get it is with all of the partners that we're doing at these festivals, with various events, we're hoping to get their buy-in for real world rewards, right? So whether it's hey, you get a free merch, you maybe get a ticket, something along those lines.
Get a discount.
Yeah, but not a Vons coupon. We want something that's tangible.
That you're going to use.
And that,
or
that
per generation would use.
Yeah. Something that's real, not just anyone could get a 10% off discount code, something that you're oh yeah, I want this, right?
It's interesting. We're doing that now with Coop's Discord platform.
Oh, okay.
We've engaged with a management group of that platform. Well, we've just rolled out this 12 days of Christmas on there, and in that world you can do Nitro, different platforms of engagement that you would typically buy, but we're doing promotions where you can get these for free. And so kids are really into it because it allows them, I guess, to engage greater in the things they want to do that they normally would pay for, but they don't have to. And then there's free merch giveaway, things of that sort. So targeted to that Alpha Gen Z group. And it's creating incredible engagement and retention.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
they're getting the message.
You should, but the message that's being delivered should be in a way that you want to receive it.
Yeah,
right?
It should be pleasant.
It should be nice, right? There's no reason that the information can't go that way. And I think, at least that we see a lot from this space, which is kind of a niche space for the most part, is that it's very sterile. There's almost no humanity in it. Someone's just forcing information. They're hey, drugs, this. And it's very uninviting.
That was my mom wasn't knocking Nancy Reagan.
Yeah.
But it's just say no to drugs.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to say no to drugs. There might be a tiny,
minuscule
percentage.
Work,
It
right.
didn't work.
Yeah.
Whereas you know they're going to do drugs. You know your people are always going to do drugs. But, you know, if we can get you the information in a positive, you know, welcoming way, you should know your landscape, like some risks. And then, dude, if you're going to do it, you should at least know,
Right.
you know, what you're getting into.
Well, it should be really like, have you ever smoked weed before? We're putting Harold on blast right now.
I have when I was in high school for a short period of time.
Okay, good.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, it's
didn't
all right.
work with me.
It's fine. Harold didn't do it. He's
I
great.
don't
But
like it.
in that process, just like anything, someone shows you how to use it. There's a learning process. Maybe when you smoke it, you learn to smoke it out of an apple or a can or something along those lines. But during that process in your experience of using drugs, yeah, he's like, okay, apple and can.
Okay. Never heard of that one, but take your word for it.
But there's never like this co-occurring side that's just like, hey man, if something goes wrong, what do you do? Right?
Yeah.
Or if this is what it looks like if it's bad.
Yeah.
Right? And they should go hand in hand.
Well, people don't think that way. I mean, typically from a adolescent to young adult level, there's not a lot of looking at the reward and the risk.
I would challenge that.
Really?
I would challenge that. Yeah, because the thing is it's like, if you look at
Do you have to go on a run?
what? No.
Is that a run?
Yeah, no. Let me shut this down. Zedge, edit this out. But essentially, I would challenge that idea because if you look at the people that have taken our training and how much willingness everyone wants to engage in helping somebody, people understand the potential risk.
Yeah.
And we actually did survey data. We actually got a grant since we last talked from NACHO. We went to high schools and we did trainings in high schools, and we had hundreds of students respond. And overwhelming majority, 95% of them, real survey data said if they knew how to help, they would help.
So they know the risk.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So people are aware of it, but the thing is it's like they understand the potential of death. They understand the potential of overdose, but until you've experienced that, you don't really understand it.
Right.
It's the same thing that we see with new firefighters that have never seen fire before. It's like you don't know how you're going to feel until you go into that
They haven't seen
room.
death.
Right.
Right. You don't know what your reaction is going to be.
And so the reality is, that's really how we base a lot of our training is with the expectation that somebody's going to panic. Right. And I have that experience as just being a first responder. I've seen it thousands of times. Right.
What was it like for you in the beginning?
It's a wild experience.
Yeah.
And it's a crazier experience as a paramedic because you're the help.
Yeah, it's you.
You're the guy.
Yeah.
Right. So, you don't have the space to fail. Luckily you go through tons of training. Everything becomes like automatic, robotic. You follow the steps. But you learn a lot and you see a lot. And there's something that new paramedics and EMTs have to watch out for, and that's tunnel vision, which is something is so out of the world that you've never seen it before, that you get blinders on the world around you, right? And you focus in on this one thing, right?
Yeah.
And so part of what you're trying to do when you're like in your first year is you're just trying to pay attention. You're trying to not get locked in, right? And so like when we have a rookie or something coming through the fire station, you kind of got to pull them or like, hey man, like go over here, right? Walk the right way on a roof. We don't want you to fall in. Like let's do all these things. And we take that into our training and we account for it and we try and make it as retainable and as straightforward and simple as possible. But it follows a step-by-step method. And we take a lot of time and detail for that training, which a lot of groups don't do. But we feel that because, you're dealing with somebody's life, that if you're not paying a close attention to those details, if you're not doing it in an engaging way, you're doing people a disservice, right? You should fight for their attention.
Well, it could cost lives.
That's it.
Yeah, or their life,
100%.
or the life of another firefighter.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's almost like, sounds to me like military or SEAL Team 6 training.
Oh, yeah. The drill tower was crazy. I've never trained. I used to be way stronger when I was training for that. That was insane. I used to train like 3 times a day. I used to go to Latuna Canyon over here with a 100-pound weight vest and then ruck 7 miles and then go to the gym for 2 hours. So when I got to the drill tower, like I would be ready.
Right.
Because it's just this big concrete slab with a 7-story like concrete building, and they just beat you up all day.
But you're seeing, Theo, you're seeing kids, they understand the dangers, it's the landscape that they're out there when you go to these schools. These are high schools, elementary, or junior high.
These are, so we went to high school, like for example, right now we just finished up a project with LAUSD, Los Angeles Unified School District, and through their well-being centers, which are the public health departments, kind of channel into these schools. And when we talk to the people there, the students there, they know what's going on. They want the training. They want the help. They want the resources, but they're actually getting blocked by either parents or administration or someone that doesn't want to believe that it's happening there.
So you remember back, I don't know how long ago it was, but it was at Beverly Hills High, and there was the overdoses. I think it was fentanyl related.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, LA Unified School District wanted to bring in training and provide Narcan in the entire school district. So after that event, sounded like they were on board to like be proactive about it.
Yeah.
And so what has happened since then?
So there's been a lot of changes. So it actually started, I believe, with a high school called Helen Bernstein. There was an overdose there.
I remember Bill Bodner brought that up.
And
when we did with the DEA, when we did the pod with him. He mentioned that.
And actually, one of the satellite schools that used to be open and share the campus actually contacted us immediately. They're a charter school, so they don't follow the same type of regulations as an LAUSD school. They can just get things done right away. They had all of their students trained. We gave 300 doses out to their school. It was really remarkable. After that, LAUSD with Los Angeles County Public Health Department and SAPC kind of approached us, and they wanted another way to get naloxone into their schools. And we had been fighting for this for a long time, right? We'd been saying, we need this, we need this. They finally got us in through their well-being centers. We went to 41 sites and helped provide naloxone training to those sites, which then will extend to the rest of LAUSD. And so it's a huge accomplishment. It can be modeled in schools throughout America. There's lots of different ways to go about it, but it empowers those well-being sites to do a peer-to-peer model, to educate others. And, you know, if everybody was doing this, right, we would see changes deeply significant, right? We would see more prevented overdoses. We'd see greater awareness. And we really need to take action now nationwide on that.
I know. It's tough because the overdose statistics are not going in a favorable way. When we last met, the DEA and their statistics had put out 6 out of 10 of the drugs that are out in the market. And they're talking about illicit drugs, meaning, to define that for our viewers, is that anything that is not, that you can not, let me say it this way, anything that's been verified that came from a U.S. pharmacy, that, like, for example, you went and got your prescription and it's been in your possession and you know that no one's gotten to it, it hasn't been tampered with, that's a clean prescription of whatever, antidepressant, pain pills, Adderall, etc. We're talking about everything else that has been counterfeit, that has basically come from, you know, the precursors from China, being pressed in Mexico and being distributed here. When we first met, it was 6 out of 10 had a lethal dose of fentanyl. Recently, the DEA came out with updated statistics, hoping it was going to go the other way. Now it's 7 out of 10, and they just say it's getting worse. And it's getting worse for a lot of different reasons. Border, you know, increase in the cartels and their business, increase of demand and use here in the United States, which are resulting in increase in deaths nationally. And I mean, I understand what you're doing to try to be able to save people that are, you know, that are using and that end up, you know, may not have intended to overdose or get to a death situation with narcotics and fentanyl. But if you just want to keep them alive, revive them or keep them from dying, it just seems like an uphill battle still. And it doesn't seem to me that it's gotten any better. Has it in your world? Is it getting better?
I think it's getting better. I have a lot of hope for the future, and I have a lot of hope for, like, especially, the generations that are coming and everyone else. Like, people care a lot. And, this is something that no one else needs to die, right? Everyone agrees that this is a problem that doesn't need to happen, right? We have the medication, we have the training, we could provide it nationwide, right? There's a $52 billion opioid settlement. Every state is getting a piece of that. There is no reason that they can't make in 2023 naloxone available to you with the click of a button. It should be that easy, right? And, at least what we've seen is we've seen buy-in from some unlikely places, right? Since we last talked, we had a huge partnership with Insomniac where we're at all of their major festivals. And we actually got data back from that. And what's amazing about the work that we've been able to do there as a result of Insomniac is we've trained all their large festivals 5% of the population that's going. And it turns those festivals into little, like, public health events because you train thousands of people. At EDC, we train 10,000 people.
Wow, that's insane.
It's insane, right? That's a ton. That's a huge amount of people, right? And people are excited to do it. They want to do it. They want to be a part of it, right? And as a result of that, not only at the event do you increase the responder to, patron ratio, you go from like a 1 in, 300 person ratio of like a responder that knows what to do in an overdose, and then 300 patrons. You go from that to 1 to 20.
Yes.
Right?
The odds start becoming more in your favor.
More in your favor, very powerful. But you also, what we see is that after that event, the naloxone starts getting used in the area around it.
So the goal is to have naloxone being used similar to like an EpiPen, or to like where we see everywhere now. There are defibrillators. Mm-hmm. So someone does not necessarily have to die from a heart attack. You might be able to revive them until help arrives, right?
Absolutely. But the huge piece is the training. Because when you go through a training and you learn how to respond to somebody that's overdosing, it affects you in a way that me just telling you won't, right? You really think about what's going on.
Yeah.
And the things that happen is it will affect those around you, because once you know how to save someone's life, you're going to share that with someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talk about it a lot, and I always try to make the point to everyone I talk to about this is that here's the good side about this that you may not know. Let's say something happens where somebody's unresponsive and you think it's an overdose, and you administer Narcan, naloxone, and it wasn't an overdose. It doesn't have any harmful effect. So you're not going to hurt them by administering it. So, there's no downside to it. Mm-hmm. And if it was an overdose, I know from the training, you're going to know that it was an overdose if they respond to it, because they're going to respond back. How would you describe it?
They're going to feel not too great.
They're not going to. They're going to come waking up feeling like crap. Yeah. But they're going to snap back. Yeah. It's not going to be waking up out of a sleep.
No.
So you know that, hey, you saved them.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't, it wasn't. It could have been something else, and it wasn't that. But it doesn't hurt to have this available. You were so kind on 2 different occasions to come down to our community and train those that wanted to know about it, because they were affected by Coop's passing, and and we're members of that community, et cetera. And it was predominantly middle-aged adults and older. And what prompted it was that it was Cooper. But since that happened, I remember the second time you came, you had just gotten off a shift and you drove from here to Laguna Beach.
Yeah.
Dude, you were wasted, tired.
Anytime,
and this was like,
place.
what, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
I mean, we were really worried about how you were going to make it back.
Oh, no, it's all right.
But
standard operating procedure is 2 hours of sleep.
You were just, you were very tired, you could tell. But you were point on, very engaging. Everybody loved it. And then there were 3 overdoses in our community that I know of since that time period. God. That the security patrol saved people. Naloxone, Narcan, is now carried by all those guys
That's
in their
amazing.
trucks. It's everywhere.
That's amazing.
And there's a number of neighbors that have it and know how to use it. And it's around, the lifeguards carry it. So it's prevalent in our community now. And there's been instances. Now, people don't want to talk about it.
Sure.
I understand that. But lives have been saved. And they've not just been kids.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's been, like you said, when we talked about from MacArthur Park to the penthouses, it's been a wide range of the population, and which goes to show it's everywhere. I'm hoping we're getting better with this because we still have to deal with the underlying cause of all this, which is why would somebody want to take something, which I think is mental health. And that's a whole other world,
Sure.
you know, and we get brought into it because we have to talk with kids. And, and everything and anything we can do, I think, is one small, tiny step forward, but at least we're moving in the right direction. And we're seeing kids, we're getting the feedback a lot more where kids are choosing to do different things today than what they were doing before, like self-medicating and experimenting. They're seeing, they're hearing the message. They're seeing Cooper's social media friends that were his closest friends. They're seeing the changes that they've made because of what they experienced with Cooper. They're doing things like going to yoga, they're hiking, they're going to the gym, they're cooking healthy foods, and some of them have like food podcasts. They're journaling, they're getting greater into music, writing books, and it's like, wow, this is, and then their followers are starting to follow that example. And we're talking like millions. So we're getting a lot of feedback through the DM, social media, all this stuff. And and this is around the world. So it seems like it's getting better. We're getting a lot more positive response. I have not heard yet on all of our platforms where someone has died that had been connected with Coop's advice and all that, and yet we lost them. I've not heard one yet. I'm sure there's probably, it's happened, but we haven't heard it. We've heard nothing but stories of people making positive changes in a great direction. And you see on social, a lot of them tag and repost you guys now.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know what your following is
Yeah.
increased to, but
Substantial. It's a lot more.
yeah, but it's awesome because we're hoping this message continues to get out. That nobody needs to die, like Cooper. He didn't need to die. We started this hashtag a few months ago, a hashtag Fentanyl Kill Cooper. It just resonated with people. For some reason, it's a hard hashtag. It's a hard statement. I mean, it's cut and dry. Hashtag Fentanyl Kill Cooper. What? It's not Cooper died from fentanyl. We're saying fentanyl killed Cooper. And it's resonating with kids to be fearful of taking stuff. They're like backing off from it. We have conversations where when they chat with us, and it's not like don't do drugs, just say no. It's like, hey, look, give them two things. My hope is that you make positive and healthy choices, and I just want you to understand, what you're dealing with. It's not a matter if you're going to die, if you take anything out there. It's when. Well, if it's 7 out of 10, and that's what the DEA says happening throughout the United States, that statistic is so, and not in your favor. You have a 7 out of 10 chance, and you are going to die. It's a matter of when. I just hope you maybe consider doing something different and staying here with us. That's all. And they listen to it. Treva now is known as mom to millions.
That's amazing.
Throughout the world that we get. I told you when you walked in here this morning, Treva was. I left her. She was doing a online interview with a young student out of Hungary. about Krzywicki and something they're starting there. I'm like, oh my God, this is Hungary and the Eastern Bloc nations are out there, right?
Yeah, it's insane.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we see such a higher demand for it in other countries. We're trying to figure out how to get out there. And, one of the things that, often gets overlooked is people just end up using drugs innocuously. A lot of times people are just doing it because it feels good or it's fun.
Yeah.
For there's lots of campaigns where there's, methods of discouragement, and that works for some people. But for a huge swath of the population, you can't scare somebody into saying no, right? People are going to use because it's as old as time, right? We started the drug war in 1980.
Always use.
Yeah, we started the drug war in 1980, and it's the worst epidemic it's ever been, right?
Right.
And so I think we can both agree that, what we need to make sure is that for the people that are going to use right now is that we have to look at what we can do to help, right? That's why, making sure everyone has availability to naloxone, has these different resources to them.
Make sure you're not
saves
using
lives.
alone.
That's a big one, Make sure you're not using alone. It's not a crazy idea. Hey, hang out with a friend, be with somebody.
But this is what I've learned, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you don't have a very good chance of saving yourself with Narcan if you're alone.
Well, you don't have a chance.
And that's what, Coop had Narcan with him when he passed.
Yeah. The huge thing is that once you've crossed the line and threshold into, we call it central nervous system depression, you go unconscious. When you're unconscious, you can't self-revive.
But I mean, when you're going unconscious.
You might be able to if you're that cognizant, but
usually you're going
Yeah.
quickly enough where you just can't.
Yeah.
Or like if it's in, like Coop had a little backpack type thing with him. And this is things that we've learned since then. And he didn't even attempt to go for it. He knew about it. He knew about Narcan intimately. But if you're alone, the chances are you can have Narcan. It's not enough. You just can't be alone. Someone needs to, and then, like you said, someone needs to be aware. Like if he's overdosing or if someone's overdosing and there is Narcan, like that, what it is, where it is, and how to use it.
Absolutely. And one thing that we're seeing that's still a huge problem is that there's so much guilt and shame that can be associated with, any type of use, right? That it can be hard. Like, not everyone's getting to that point. Like some people, this is one of the problems too with kind of like the 7 and 10 thing is, someone will try something and they will just feel fine. And so it dispels the discouragement right away.
It compromises your judgment.
Well, the other thing too is that, right, like so many people feel like they can't go to a friend or a family member because they're going to get shamed into like, hey, why the fuck are you doing this thing, right? And so they keep it a secret, which is not something we want, right? And that's why, there's a huge realm of different things that are coming out for that too, right? Like one thing is like an opioid halo device, which is the same essentially like device that we use on an ambulance as a pulse oximeter. This is definitely not for everybody, but like this is something that if somebody's at that point where they know, hey man, I'm using alone, this is like bad, right? Yeah. If your heart rate dips to a certain line, it actually reads the trends in your oxygen saturation. It's just a little thing that you put on your finger. It sends alerts out directly to somebody, right? That says, hey, like this person's going somewhere. And people need to know about all this stuff. They need to know about all the preventative things that are out there, from new technologies to fentanyl test strips to naloxone, and it needs to be available to them fast.
We're seeing in the world that I'm in, the communities and the let's just say the socio-economic demographics, still most of the parents are clueless about fentanyl, where it's found, how available it is. I mean, I'm talking about fentanyl. I'm talking about typically it's not anybody using or going and getting and using fentanyl or counterfeit fentanyl. They're using other drugs that are illicit and have fentanyl in them. That's the majority of my world of where people are dying. They're taking a fake Xanax, a fake Percocet, a fake Oxycontin, a fake Adderall. You saw the thing that just happened in back east of elementary school kid brought gummy bears from home that were laced with fentanyl.
Oh,
And
no, I
then-
didn't see that.
Yeah, it was 7 kids. He brought it in. 7 kids got ingested gummy bears. I'm not talking pot gummy bears. These
Sure.
are just gummy bears. They were laced with fentanyl. 5 of them had to go to the hospital and had to get treated. 2 of them weren't that affected, and then they arrested 2 parents of the kid that brought them in because
Sure.
they had fentanyl.
Yeah.
And we're seeing people taking stuff and not expecting anything, but like, I'm taking a Xanax and I expect to have the effects of these Xanax.
Yeah.
Taking Adderall, I'm expecting to have the effects of that Adderall or that vape cartridge or whatever, but they're dying. And so I find most of the parents don't understand this or how prevalent it is, how dangerous it is. And that, I had someone chat with me before meeting with you today, wants me to come and talk to his 12 and 14-year-old. I said, because we're about to, get into this, there's part of school where they're going to be exposed to this.
Sure.
And I just said, look, I'm just, if you don't mind, if I can just be perfectly candid, they've already been exposed long before this. At 12 or 14, no, it's happening around them.
I started using it at 13.
Yeah, I mean, they've already know
So-
about it. They've been exposed. They know
Yeah.
about drinking. They know about weed. They know about drugs. It's a matter now, as they get a little bit older in their peer groups, where it becomes used by a lot of people, becomes pushed on them, from a standpoint of like peer pressure. And this is the conversation. You've got to be well aware. They're already in this landscape. It's a matter of, if we can make them aware of how dangerous it is, maybe they'll choose to do something else or say no. My hope is that to affect the market value of this, there's supply and demand. There's no lack of supply. But if the demand becomes so dangerous, maybe the demand will become less, nationally. I'm told that, again, this is also from the DEA, that a lot of people will go to Mexico to get their drugs. And what I mean is, like their prescriptions, their Botox, their weight control,
Totally.
their antidepressants and pain. It's a lot cheaper. I'm told it's between 35 and 50% of the pharmaceuticals you can buy in a Mexican pharmacy contain fentanyl.
Wow, I didn't know that. But yeah, with healthcare in the U.S. right now, everyone's going to buy cheaper stuff.
That's crazy.
No, it's
like
they actually did I think it was a company called the Bunk Police. So they make fentanyl test strips. They actually went down, and I'm pretty sure it was them. They actually went to pharmacies in Mexico and started testing some of the OxyContin that they had there with their test strips. And I think it was a number, it was around 30% or something like that of those prescriptions were cut with fentanyl too.
Yeah.
And it was like a big issue. Great organization, Bunk Police, they make test strips, they make a bunch of different things. But yeah, it's definitely prevalent.
I know we could stop a lot of it. A lot of it could be stopped from coming in. It leads to a whole other discussions of politics, and which for me, I'm going to leave on the side. I'm going to focus on, our focus has been what Coop started to have a safe place for people to talk about all this, place where we can provide hope and support. We can provide solutions like EndOverdose. We can provide education and awareness through podcasts, through speaking to people, through other ambassadors like his friends and his recording artists who can have positive messages and affect people that idolize them and maybe might try to do something different. If their idol's doing something that's positive and healthy, we're staying focused on that, and we're seeing results. And I know that you guys are getting a lot of results with what you're doing. And I'm very thankful for that. And I'm thankful that Cooper, I don't know how he found out about you, but I'm thankful that he reached out to you. I'm thankful that Treva and I came here that day. And although we were a little taken back when we saw you, we thought like, okay, this is like a freaking badass gang biker, ex-prison guy, massively big with all these tats and like.
Not that big.
You're big, dude. You're a big guy. And no, when we listen to you, you're a very warm, receptive, kind, caring person that came across and really knew that in your heart, you really wanted to make a difference. I'm so thankful we got connected with you because you are making a difference, and it's important. Saving one life is plenty. If you can save 2 or 3, my God, just think what we can do collectively.
Yeah. This year, I think we're totaling our numbers. We'll have more after we finish all of our events, but we've definitely crossed over 200,000 trained this year, and that's over 100,000 from last year. And so, the other thing that is like, I've experienced, the bottom part of drug use. Right. Not everybody has my experience. A lot of people just use recreationally. They have a good time, they have a bad time, they move on, they grow out of it. But I happen to just have that affinity for it. And I know how different your life can be if you're given the opportunity. I've been there. I started using during like the OxyContin epidemic when they were overprescribing it. I broke my leg when I was 13. They gave me OxyContin 80 milligrams, and I was on it. And like right after that, I started using black tar heroin where I grew up in Seattle. And so that's
at what age did you start using black tar?
Yeah, about 14. So right when I got into high school, I started using it. And so, I was primed and ready. And not everyone has that experience, but I know a lot of people that have, right? And I also know a lot of people that, are really want to make an impact and make a change. And that's why our college groups are so important. Right now we have 30 chapters that have formed across the U.S. And these are all peer-to-peer led.
So when you say 30 chapters, that's 30 different universities?
It's 30, or well, 2 are like kind of regional. 2 are like Boston area, one's Chicago, but the rest are all on campus.
Wow.
And every single person, like we don't just let anybody do it. We want to make sure that you're motivated, that you have a personal connection, that you have a plan. We want you to actually be successful, right? And then we give you everything you need to do that. And, these people have been deeply affected in their community and they want to see a positive change. In our University of Alabama, they're the first people to ever bring naloxone to their campus. They already trained like 3,600 people in like a month. The chapter president over there, Hayden Rudder, has been going beyond insane lengths. And these are just people that are given the opportunity to make impact.
God, there's someone I know whose child just went to school, first year freshman in college, right? And rushes for sorority, and second week in college, freshman, roofied, hospital.
Yeah,
it's like, and this is something we've talked about, in detail about like Cooper and they knew Cooper and what happened, his experience, our experience, and like you said, until it hits you, now there's a greater deepening understanding of what's out there. Could have easily had fentanyl with that roofie.
Yeah.
I have another friend of mine whose son, I think his son is in his mid-30s, meeting a college buddy of his in San Diego. And young men in their careers, not just meeting for a drink to catch up. They don't party, they're just good guys, and they're both athletes, college athletes. And they realized they got, sitting at the bar having a drink, they got roofied. And they went out, past the hostess at the restaurant, told her to call 911. They've been roofied. They went outside making themselves throw up. This was a Friday night. They're in the hospital through Sunday. Their fear was that, because they had been talking to their dad who had talked to me and all that, their fear was that there was also going to be fentanyl in that and they were going to die.
Valid. Yeah.
Totally valid.
Typically, roofie's a different drug, but these days it could be for sure.
They're not like, why would guys get roofied? To get robbed.
Yeah.
Yeah. The girls, different story. I mean, we had a conversation about the young girl, second week in college. My fear is this: fentanyl, dying, human trafficking.
Yeah, it's fucking evil.
It's that's a whole other world. But I'm just saying these are the things that you're finding drug use or like illegal drug use, something like that. It's everywhere. So I mean, you know, the things you have to do if you're going out as a young adult or in the college world, covering your drinks, making sure it's always in your hand, you know, watching all this. It happens, it's non-discriminatory. It happens to everybody, you know, boys, girls, etc., for all these different reasons. Man, it's just, it's so, it frightens me because it keeps evolving. And it's different from how I grew up. But, you know, like we said earlier, no one else needs to die. I think the more that we're empowered with information, I think we can save more, or more can be saved. But you've come a long way since we met back at the first of last year.
Yeah.
I mean, well, tell me about, like, you were, I think you were relatively kind of, not quite smaller, but you were doing less. Tell me what's happened since the growth of you, EndOverdose, how EndOverdose has grown, and some different things and how things have changed in your life personally.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is I'm way more busy than I've ever been in my life, right? So I work 24 hours.
You work more?
Work more. We're doing more at EndOverdose. It just requires, there's just a lot of different balancing. I'm dating someone.
Yeah.
She's moved in. She's amazing, awesome
you guys,
person.
you have to go pick her up and take her out. And
that's the best part. I love doing that.
She's just like down the street or blocks away or cities away or?
No, she lives with me.
She lives with you?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, it's great.
When I met Theo, he was single.
Yeah.
And I can just tell, a guy walks in anywhere and every female eye is looking at this good looking big dude who's like ripped, successful.
I don't know.
Fireman, firefighter, paramedic, entrepreneur. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the official announcement. Ladies, he is officially off the market.
Yeah. But she's really special, and I really love her a lot. So.
Wow,
yeah.
the L word.
Yeah, no,
That's awesome, buddy.
Yeah,
that's great.
I would spend all my time with her if I had the chance.
Like you and Zedge, like the package deal.
Yeah, Zedge is getting married.
Zedge is engaged. Right. Well, Zedge is a little farther down the road.
Zedge is further down the road. He's got a ring. He's done the whole deal.
Yeah.
Right? They're already.
He got down on a knee.
He did.
And where again? Zanzibar.
Yeah.
They went on. That's a long way to go to get engaged.
Yeah.
That's the degree of love. I love it.
Yeah. All the way to Africa.
Exactly, Africa. Yeah. What a great trip.
Yeah.
I'll leave that one alone with you right now. I won't give you any more, poke the bear anymore. I don't want you to come over to the side of the table.
Yeah. No, it's all right. It's a long way over there. It can't get you.
So you got new gal, a great relationship. You're basically doing the same from your professional standpoint as a paramedic. You know, same area. Runs are probably getting more like.
Yeah, for example, the Los Angeles City Fire Department runs about 4 times as many calls as that national average. Wow. And they actually put out a report that we needed maybe 2,500 new firemen. We needed a 10% workforce increase in 2021, right? It's 2023 now. It's about to be 2024. So there's not enough people doing that job.
You haven't hired enough yet.
There's not enough. And we haven't hired enough
Can you hire? Do you have the budget to do that?
I don't know.
But you're just not hiring enough.
There's just not enough. It's not even just all the people that are retiring right now. It's also about getting beyond that, right? A lot of that is budgetary. It's also now you have everyone is new, and that's a very dangerous job to be new at.
Yeah, right.
Right? You're losing all of your knowledge base. So I work less overtime there now, especially with EndOverdose. It's just, that's what it is, which is great because I love what we do here. And we've got just have so many more people. We have just between the college chapters, that's 30 additional sites.
When we first met, you were doing the online training. Mm-hmm. You were speaking at times to places, and you were beginning to do college chapters. And I think you were it started with UCLA, a couple places locally. It had not grown to that. So you've grown the college presence to be over 30 nationwide. And then what else have you done with the company, what you've added since then?
Yeah,
in the
so
beginning?
we've added a couple things, right? One of the pieces that we added was kind of like a more formal event management, and this is to really transform the event experience where you're not just doing tabling, but you're really measuring outcomes based off of the total amount you can train and turning these national festivals like Coachella into public awareness events, right? Which is a huge opportunity for exposure and training, right? And so before, we were working with Insomniac, which is a huge undertaking, and we're so grateful for that because of the number of people we've reached. Through just their events alone, we've reached over 1 million people in person. That's
Wow.
not social media data. That's people like walking by and engaging and things like that, which is huge. But we also have partnered with AEG, and we're working with Live Nation, right? As well as many other groups. And what's really crazy is that, the festival industry is on top of it. We're talking to their risk managers. They're making sure that they put these trainings in place. They're taking care of it. They're doing the right thing, and they're organized, right? And we're seeing that next year. We'll be at every major
But
festival.
it's good business for them.
Well,
Because if you have, like how it happened, it's a couple of these events where people got hurt or passed out, and the artist didn't stop the concert, didn't recognize it. It's not good business. It's good business from that standpoint to make sure everybody's having a good, safe time.
Well, what I can tell you is that we do a lot of survey data, and of our participants, we have like 30,000 pieces of data. 1 in 4 people know someone that's overdosed.
Yeah.
And the thing is this has affected so many people. People really are trying to make a difference. Pasquale Rotella from Insomniac called me because he wanted to make sure that all of the people that were going to his shows had every resource available to them. He personally called. So this is like the CEO of a major company. Like, people care, and they're doing things to make a difference. And this is, I've never even experienced that before. And so, and alone in that section, we've been doing new things. The other thing that we've been doing is we've been trying to work with like public health agencies and really helping them take the resources that they have and then connect them to a wider public, just like we worked with LAUSD, right? A huge portion of that is what we're trying to bring into the next year is every state has an naloxone distribution project, and then they'll have kind of a distributor that puts the medication together. We want to give them our training, basically be the training agency for them, so that makes it really easy for their state. There's no reason that you shouldn't be able to go online right now, take a training,
Right.
and have it sent to you. Right? When we have all the
Yeah,
resources
I mean,
there.
not just from you. It should come from a number of different sources.
You should be able to get it that simple, right? And strides have been made. A huge thing that we did is we did a project with Walgreens.
I remember that.
Walgreens has basically started releasing Narcan over the counter, selling it in all their retail stores, which is huge.
Is it at an affordable cost?
It's $44, so it's affordable to some, it's not affordable to all, right? But that is because of the manufacturer. That's the person that's making the Narcan. That's not necessarily the company and the the retail
I don't know
side.
the economics on it, but it sounds like the manufacturer is making just enough profit just to get it out there.
It is, so the thing is, the reason why that's so important, though, is because it removed the prescription status away from it. And so that makes it a lot easier to distribute. It also takes away a standing order, which you would need, which makes it really complicated for, distribution groups to get it out there. So we're going to see the availability go up more. There's also a bunch of new companies that are making different analogs of naloxone. So you're going to have increased, resources and devices, which is really important. Higher doses of naloxone are coming in, which are really important.
Cloxotto?
Yeah. So there's lots of different theories on it, but like as a paramedic, one of the things that we see is there's a lot of steps to follow, right? And what you really need is you need to guarantee that you're going to revive them, right? You need to guarantee that you're going to revive them. If the only thing you can do is administer naloxone and call 911, if that's the only thing you're going to be able to do, you need to have the most.
In other words, I'm going to make sure you got enough naloxone.
Yeah, it's a big deal, right? And so, obviously we train people to do, monitor respirations, perform rescue breathing, but,
The bare necessities.
Bare necessities.
Put it up their nose and call 911 and put it up their nose. If they need more, keep putting it up.
Well,
there.
I mean, the thing is, different patient populations need different types of dosages.
Right.
They have different levels of experience.
Yeah.
And we offer a wider range of trainings to, people from all different ends of the spectrum and their knowledge and capability. Whether a harm reductionist can take an intramuscular injection and administer it and do something called, titrate it to respiratory effect. Someone that isn't in that environment or a paramedic isn't going to be able to perform that, right? And so they need intranasal naloxone,
right.
and they need a high dose.
Right.
They need to guarantee that they're going to get that person, right?
Right.
And so we've been using, all different types. We've been using Clexato. We've been using, Narcan, brand Narcan. We've been using our intramuscular vials, and we've just been pouring it out. And it's been pretty remarkable to see that growth.
What's been your biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge, the two biggest challenges will always be funding and will always be medication, right? We've been really lucky to get some amazing grants. There's an organization called Direct Relief. Direct Relief they were just in Forbes, 30 for one of the largest charities in the world. They actually take medication and, like if, Haiti's had an earthquake or there's a Tennessee tornado, they'll donate medicine there. Yeah. They donated 20,000 doses of Clexato to us that we were able to get out. We had, through Velocity Bio Group, we had about $3 million worth of Clexato donated to us, which we gave out throughout the United States at different festivals, which is huge.
You're getting organizations to donate medication.
That's right.
What are you doing to fundraise?
To fundraise, it's tough, right? So for us,
I see it on social media.
We
for
do
a lot of different, things. There's Giving Tuesday, You Run funds. I see a lot of kids running their own.
That's the biggest source of donation. It's just people starting fundraisers.
Yeah,
right.
Fundraisers.
We've gotten the largest government grant that we've ever gotten was $80,000.
That's pretty cool.
Which is huge. It's a massive amount, and right now. We'll have raised maybe almost $1 million this year, and we've trained over 200,000 people. So it costs us about $5 to train a person, which is great, right? Wow. And so like a $5 donation provides the training for someone, and we're trying to keep that ratio. But the thing is, right, there are organizations that have some are getting awarded $10 million, and nothing wrong with that. But we know that we could blow what people are doing out of the water, right? The amount of how efficient we are with our training, our reach, our growth, where we're going. I truly believe we can solve this. We have a model that everybody could follow, and people believe that, and we can save lives, right? We can save lives right now.
You already are.
Yeah, I don't sleep. This is like what I do on a day in and day out, and really one of the things that I've been focused on really for us is how do we make this as engaging and as interesting as possible. One of the things that we started up is how do we engage kind of the grief community. Yeah. So right now it's still in development, but we have a commemorative garden that we used with, it's like computer generated.
It's really
VR.
cool.
And so you can go on there and you can place someone's name, and we're going to revise it with the suggestions that you made. We're going to do it kind of like a Unity engine type thing where it's real world.
I think it should be income generated.
Yeah.
There's people that would pay, in other words, like you would for a cemetery. Mm-hmm. There's, the various different levels. Mm-hmm. Before you have a mausoleum in the ground or whatever, different headstones. Mm-hmm. We would certainly pay for something more interactive, greater presence. I think people would love to do that because of a virtual, forever memory that everyone has access to their loved ones.
Yeah,
I've not seen that anywhere.
Well, I really want to make that free with maybe an optional donation, but I don't want to gatekeep anyone's grief. You know what I mean? And but we want them to have the ability to go in there and develop their own memorial, right? And
I think it's really cool.
And so right now you can go to our garden app. It's like if you go to EndOverdose.net and you click garden, it'll take you there. But we want it to be its own space.
If you go there and take the tour, you'll see Cooper and you'll see Coda, his dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, we want people to be able to make their memorials like that with their own little engagement, their own little animations, their own pieces.
It's cool.
And, we just need to do more, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, on a day-to-day basis, I think of how can we do more for not only the people that are suffering or the people that want to save lives, but, the people that have lost somebody.
It's that grief's a whole other world too. We live in it, but it's also so challenging. Grief affects everybody differently, and there's no escaping it. And I just still find, particularly men, do not want to talk. When we first met, I think we talked briefly about grief, that there's not other men that want to talk about the experiences that I've gone through. It's been on one hand, the men I've spoken to. People just don't want to talk about it. But they're going to get hit with grief at some point in time. And again, it's a whole other world of dealing with that. And it's all connected. It's all connected with all that comes with losing someone to whatever circumstance, but it comes with losing someone to fentanyl, an overdose, someone who didn't need to die. And I'm just sorry for all these people that go through it. I live it. It goes in various different stages. We were chatting earlier when you came in that, through you, we got introduced to the DEA. You introduced us to I think the gal that's in the outreach of LA. I think she was like a community outreach or someone that you knew. That led me to meet somebody else there who then, by that time we started doing podcasts. And then they said, hey, would you like to maybe meet with our head of our DEA here, that runs all LA and all that? I said, sure. So we chatted and said, hey, how about if we do a podcast? So we ended up doing a podcast here. Got to know that guy, the head of the DEA, Bill Bodner. He recently just retired. But during the time all that was going on, since Cooper passed, the DEA was brought in to review the circumstances that happened around his death. And it was because of one local detective out of Burbank, took it a step further when it had already been written off as technically this is an accidental overdose. And it was going to be done. He took a step further, and I don't know for what reason. I really don't know why, but felt that there was more there. They investigated it. They felt that there was enough to take it, that the DEA would have an interest in this. They did. We meet Bill. I think Bill, I don't know for sure. I've never asked him, but I believe Bill took a greater interest in this case because of our overall relationship that began with your introduction. It resulted with those directly involved with Cooper's death the day before Thanksgiving, getting indicted and getting arrested and being detained without bail for what they call is conspiracy to distribute, class 2 drug, and that's one category. And then the additional category is that resulted in death, which is like a huge, I mean, that's a huge, significant addition when someone dies from that. 2 guys were directly arrested for that. And I don't know how this would have all come together. I think it's something like less than 2%, less than 1% ever results in an arrest.
I didn't know
let
that.
alone a conviction. Basically, very little from on the distributing dealer side. So we're very fortunate because I'm connected with a lot of different groups that are involved in educating and awareness about fentanyl overdoses, and we got to keep this stuff, keep it from coming across the border, get rid of it, government do more, blah 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 blah. And it's all from people who have lost a loved one, mostly, It's children. The majority isn't a spouse or a parent. It's mostly children, because I think it's the greatest cause of death, the single greatest cause of death between the ages of 18 and 45, and it's right in there with millennials and Gen Alpha and Gen Z's coming right into it. So we're one of the ones that got some relief from that, because some people were arrested and are going to be held accountable. But at the same time, man, it just, like I said, tears off the scab, cuts open the scar. There we are, family and friends, close friends of Cooper's. We're reliving the whole thing again. And it's hard, because it's never going to go away. It's the part of grief that, yes, it's a positive thing going forward that these guys were, arrested, and they are prevented from killing other people, which we've been told that they most likely have killed other people since then. So that's a great thing, but we're still dealing with the grief of it. It doesn't change. It's different, and it's hard on everybody. And my hope is that some of these people out there, the parents and the siblings, they'll just talk, amongst Coop's circle of friends. A lot of them have been on podcasts with me or with Triva, or they still get together with us in our home. We just had a couple of his close friends with us over Thanksgiving. We'll have some more over Christmas, like we do at all these events. And they just want to come out and hang out with us. The door's always open, but they talk about it. And, Zedge was here for those other pods, with Emma and et cetera. And it was hard, to talk about this. And but they are talking about it, and they're making good positive changes with it. And so it's interesting where we have come from. Grieving parents, a foundation started supporting the two things that he did actually start, which was the Discord platform and the connection with you at EndOverdose. The third was he'd like to be eventually create a aftercare treatment center that was like really legit and not just for profit. So our involvement with where we've gone through with podcasts, with interviews, with supporting other programs, led to a recent podcast with me, with a group out of Orange County called the Hopeaholics. That pod resulted from the group that owns a number of recovery centers, detox and recovery centers. You can go there and get outpatient treatment, or you can go with inpatient treatment. They have facilities where you would stay for however long you need, for sleep, eat, treatment, medical care, detox, get off, go through it, therapy, go through recovery. And so, as you know, those things are not inexpensive. They're on the average of roughly $1,000 a day. It's $30,000 a month to get care. When we did the pod, it just blew me away. They offered an ongoing scholarship in Coop's name for treatment for anybody that needs it, that can't afford it. In Cooper's name, you can come there. We can introduce them to them. They'll interview them, etc. There will be an open place for them for however long they need for their treatment. And when that bed is available, then it'll open up to the next one. It'll keep on going. I just thought this is the leg that Cooper wanted to do. It seems like it's starting to happen then. And so with this, and because we thought, I can't foresee starting and creating a drug treatment center. That's a whole other world. But maybe it evolves from some affiliation for people that are so touched by his story, they want to offer this. I mean, to give up a bed, that's it's $30,000 a month. That's a lot of money for ongoing. So you times that by 12, times it by how many other years? Man, that's we're so thankful for that, because it's so needed. And there's people that can't afford it, or people that have exhausted their family, and maybe maybe it's this one time that'll make the difference. Who knows? We've also been engaged by a movie producer or director that will be doing a documentary on Cooper's life. He's so touched by. He interviewed Treva and I for a documentary film that is out now that he did on the life of someone else that he knew who had survived addiction and recovered and is helping other people in the world. But he was so they interviewed Treva and I because we're from a different generation of children that have been affected by this. And this was, his documentary didn't really deal with fentanyl overdose or deaths. It was more about, it would have been more like about a documentary about you, someone who went through it pre-fentanyl. And so when they interviewed us because this is where it's going today, he was so touched, and he dove into Cooper's story and watched how much he dealt with and the connections around the world and the people that are been surrounded around him and affected. He wants to do a documentary film about Coop's life from the standpoint of this might help even reach a greater audience. And the idea with this to be distributed through the film festivals around the world next summer. So we're embarking on that presently. So it's crazy where all this is leading to, and new doors just open, and new things come in, and new things happen. I ultimately got connected with the DEA, the head of the DEA in Virginia, and we're still trying to schedule a podcast with her. They've said yes, we can do it. So Zedge and I will have to haul stuff and fly to Virginia and do it there. And I'm just trying to narrow it down. This gal is very busy. I see her all the time on social media and on other news platforms. They are dead set at trying to get rid of this fentanyl issue and stop it, eliminate it, do something about it with putting people away for it that are killing people. I've never seen anybody so focused and so passionate about ending this crisis of the moment. And I can't wait to meet her. The thing she's done, she created that Faces of Fentanyl wall in the halls of Virginia, and now it's being implemented in the other DEA facilities and headquarters around the United States, because they immediately ran out of space on their wall. Because there's been too many deaths. Right. I'm thankful that Cooper's on that wall, and there was enough space that he had made before it got full. And they have summits there for families around the country. Man, she's incredible. She's someone who is really wants to end this. She's attacking it like a COVID response, like we've got Ebola virus ramping through the United States.
I hope not.
But I mean, she's looking at it that way. This has to end. There's infants on that wall, months old, that have died from fentanyl, born with it, born and have died from it, or have picked it up because their parents had it, or something, and ingested it. So, man, it's brought us to some crazy places, I never expected to be doing this.
Yeah, your availability to be vulnerable, I think, is so important. You were talking about that. And how's that process been for you? Because, there is something so powerful about it, because when we heal, everyone around us will heal too. And it sets a good example, because I know dudes aren't vulnerable. So when you see an example of it, it affects you.
Theo, I don't know how to answer that question. I exist. I do two things every day, the same thing every day. And it doesn't matter where you start with this. So it'll start today. Today it started. This is how my day will end. When I'm in my bed, I will end my day by praying. And I will be going over, I do 3 things now. I was doing 2, but I do 3 things. I do these exact same things the moment I wake up in the morning before I do anything else. Unless there was something like the dog wakes me up, like Kodo or Blue wake me up, and they're like knocking at the door and they got to go out. But then I get back to it before I wake up and start my day. I pray, and in my prayers, I pray about what I'm thankful for and what I'm grateful for. And the third thing I do is Treva got me to do this. She inspired me. I just say the Lord's Prayer. So I do that when I wake up. It's the first thing I do, and it's the last thing I do before I go to bed. I do it when I wake up because I believe it'll set my day as a positive starting point that it can be before anything else enters my mind, my phone, a conversation, or a previous thought, like some bullshit that came up from yesterday that's, it's carrying over to today, like work and whatever. And then my last thought, because I don't know if I'll wake up. Might not, right?
I hope so.
I mean, but it could happen.
Yeah, no.
It could happen. I want to go to bed talking to God about those things. What I'm grateful about, what I'm thankful about, because the day changed, and the Lord's Prayer. And then in between that is my day or my sleep. So during my day, I don't know, man. I just think I know how terrible grief can lead you to not wanting to be here. And if it's doing that with me, I think I'm a pretty strong-willed individual. I don't know how it can affect anybody else. I just think the more I talk about it, the more I can. It's like letting air out of a balloon, slowly, not popping. It's like I'm exhaling before I inhale. I'm not holding it in. I'm continuing to breathe and move forward. Move. I'm not moving on. I'm very careful in my words. I think that means I'm going to move on and forget it. No, I'm moving forward with it. That's all I can do. And, there's so much, like you said, guilt, shame, and there's denial on all different levels. There's parents that don't want to believe that this is going on and hope they won't want to believe. So they're and then there's, adults I can make through this, I can get through this and stuff, and this isn't happening, not going to happen to me. I mean, I don't know. You just gotta own it, and it's not easy. But there are better days. There are things that have happening. There are more good days than bad days. 100%. It was a good thing when these guys got picked up in this raid. The dealers that are responsible for Cooper's death. But again, like I mentioned, it brought up a lot of, we got to relive it. And it was hard. The holidays make it hard because we have traditions. I know that Cooper's friends are going to move forward. It's life. They're young kids. They're not going to always be present and grieving about Cooper, and they need to move forward. His best friend will have another best friend. His best friends will have other friends. The loves of his life will have other loves. They'll have families. I don't think we're going to forget them. I think we're all going to just move forward and live our lives, which we want them all to do, in a positive, happy way. That's the only thing I look at, and I just focus on. I've got my job, Theo, that I do to provide for my family as best as I can. I also have the things that Cooper wants me to do. So I try to be as open as I can to that, so that I can hear it, feel it, resonate, and do those things, or not do certain things, right? That aren't feeling right. And that's it. Because, you know, I'm an old guy. I don't know how much time I have left, and I'm gonna enjoy it. And I don't want to. If I really trust in God, I'm not going to worry. So if I really trust in God and put it in God's hands, why would I worry? I shouldn't. If I really believe in it, it's the human condition. I'm trying to trust more and more about all these things in my life that show me what it is you want me to do. Give me the strength to do them and to understand them and be led, and I'll do them. So I text you guys about doing a follow-up pod because it felt like I need to do it, and I want to. This is what I want to get this out. You know, first part of the year, and we hadn't talked to you in a long time. We talked briefly about the virtual cemetery.
Yeah.
And you know, we continue to do merchandise drops, and people still buy it, and then people donate. They'll see videos and they'll donate. I don't know. We don't ask for money.
Yeah.
We don't run fundraisers.
Sure.
You know, there's not a. I don't know if people run them for us, like on Instagram or all that. I haven't seen them, but we do sell merchandise, and people want it because of Cooper's memory. You know, the proceeds are going to a foundation. So our annual donations are increasing. So I feel responsible that we got to put it to a good cause. So we've allocated money to really engage the Discord and provide more for those kids than would normally be provided just by running it with like lay people.
Sure.
We have an actual group that runs it, and it's helping us run it with this fantastic girl, Riley, out of Canada, who oversees it.
Yeah.
She met Cooper online for that. Has resonated with her, and oh my God, from the goodness of her heart, she does this. She's so good at it, and she loves it, and she loves Coop, and she feels led to do that. So we're doing that. You know, there's the movie, the documentary, where you know, there was like the guy wanted to. It was like, okay, so how do you do these? He goes, well, you know, he goes, I usually go out and get money and this and that. And I go, we'll do a grant. We'll do it. We'll do it. So we did it. And it's like, I know the guy, I've met him. I know people who know him. You know, I think he's resonated with it. It resonates with us. Someone to really concisely tell Cooper's story for the purpose of getting it out there. I don't know if I can concisely tell his story. He tells his story better on social media than anybody. And it's in the form of these kids take the videos that Cooper did and other people did about him, and they do these edits, and they repost these edits on everything, and it just keeps going. I kept thinking after, when's it going to be over? When are people going to not want to, repost about Cooper anymore? It hasn't stopped. We're like a year and a half out. Jaden Hostler, one of his two best friends, wrote music, went on tour, wrote additional music. That encouraged people to follow and continue on. Nessa Barrett, who's presently in a last leg of her tour in Australia, has written one song, wrote a second song that just went completely crazy, Club Heaven. And on tour, it's amazing the engagement. People coming to the concerts with, posters of Cooper and things of that. And I mean, it's insane where that's gone. And kids, donating $1, $5.
Yeah. No,
right? Those are the most.
It's super powerful.
Those are the ones that we love the most because,
it's insane.
That's a lot of money to them.
Well, it's also insane the impact that, his friends are making. Like, Jaden took naloxone on tour with him. Yeah. And it's like his ability to impact people outstretches so many, right? Music connects with so many people. And it's just so powerful to see people not only deeply touched, but touched in a way where they're using their own creativity to reach, millions of people and really make, like, through their work, they're able to not only commemorate and live on with the memory of Cooper, but also touch the lives and impact the ways in a way that no one else can.
I think this is a great opportunity for say this to everyone who's watching this pod. Jaden, Nessa, Sab, Treva, Parker, all these people, Alana, Shannon, Jordan, Zach, Anna, it goes on and on and on. The impact you're having with the people that see you, you're changing lives in the positive and healthy changes that you've made. And I know Coop is there with you. I know he's there always by your side, and he will always be there. And I'm thankful that he knew you, and I'm thankful that we know you. We love you, and we love you more. You are incredible human beings, and the best stuff in your life is yet to come. This is, and the same with you. We've met you, what you've done. Mm-hmm. What you're doing is so incredible. Mm-hmm. You ever thought you would be doing this?
No, but it's not just me. That's the thing. Like,
but it started with you.
This is so many people coming together.
It started with you.
A little bit.
Yeah. This is. I mean, it's the culture. Yeah. I mean, you have your. And what does your girlfriend think about it now?
Well, she has a lot of thoughts about it, but they're all positive, right? She
supportive.
Super supportive. We were going over things yesterday. I was nerding out on the harm reduction infrastructure, and we were looking at different ways that we could improve ways to really engage with people. And a huge portion of that is music, right? Like, a song impacts someone's life in a way that, dude, people listen to the same song for 30 years, yeah. Right? And
of course,
really a lot of people
people get very wealthy off music.
Well, they get wealthy
because other people pay to hear it.
Absolutely, but they also change lives in a way that no public health department can. You know what I mean? Just one message, just one thing, like, hey, that changes the world. It's truly remarkable. And we've been able to work with so many artists. We work with this one DJ, Millennium, and a lot of different DJs, a lot of different musicians. And what they're doing is they're sharing these different life-saving pieces of information, and they're impacting people in a way that I could never, right? And they're touching and reaching people in a way that I could never.
Well, the reach is so vast. Yeah. You get connected. Now your distribution goes through their reach. Mm-hmm. And so you're reaching farther.
At the end of the day, it's getting this resource into people's hands. Right. And I mean, look at all the people. How many people are in that Discord server? Thousands,
it's still over a couple 100,000. Yeah. And it's growing now because the engagement that we've had. That's the thing. It got to a couple 100,000. Yeah. 210, 211, 220, and it's maintained there. Yeah. And so we sat there and said, what can we do to preserve this, right? And what can we do to grow it? And we were introduced to by Coop's manager, Alana, a group called Fan Dynamics, who run this for gamers and the music industry. I don't know if you know that the Discord is a #1 place to distribute music, new music, and get music recognition to the youth. I didn't know this. I mean, but all the major labels are running their music through there. The billions of views on Taylor Swift's music to Discord. She's the #1. Never knew it happened. I thought it was through other social media platforms. This is the up and coming. And these are the guys looking at all the metrics, right? Engagement, messaging, all the data that you look at. And so we engage them, and we're implementing a lot of new things, that the donations that come in go to help do this so that we can continue to get this message out to these kids that are, we're one of the largest servers in that Discord. The average ones are 5,000-6,000 people. We're almost 250,000 around this message of talking about mental health and addiction of kids. And so, I mean, we're doing what we can because that's a big platform.
Yeah,
it's a very big platform.
Digital impacts. I mean, it's what we have to do going forward, right? It's it's insane to me that it's taking so long for different areas to catch up with this, because you can just reach so much more people by just getting out. That's why we're really excited for the next things that we have coming out with our trainings. We're adding a rewards-based point program. We're doing a bunch of different animations, all this crazy stuff, to just make it a lot more engaging and really tangible for the added benefit of like why you're doing the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. So I can't believe it's already been almost a year.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
We gave you a grant last year. We have another one for you.
Oh my God, dude! Thank
it's
you.
what Coop wanted.
Thank you so much.
So
I'm nervous to open it because I'm cry.
You're not gonna cry. It's not that big of a grant, but the kids that donate, everybody that donates, this is part of where their money goes to. This is what Coop wanted. I can't speak highly enough of the job you're doing or the person that you are and the people that are associated with you. We met Zedge, through you, and he's a phenomenal producer. And
Zedge is awesome. Rule of thirds.
Rule of thirds. Yeah, he's a great guy. And we're going to continue to support you, and just whatever you do, it's all yours. Just go do it. Keep making it happen. Anything we can do to help and anything, you can do other than that, just always reach out. This is what Cooper would want, and this is what he's telling us to do.
Thanks,
so take your grant, buddy.
All right,
take your money.
Let's see it. There's a lot going on
there's
there.
There's a little letter.
Man, see, this is... Yeah, we can't thank you guys enough.
And it comes with a Coop's Advice coffee mug.
Oh, dude. No,
that's worth its more. It's invaluable to have a Coop's Advice coffee
Let me drink
mug.
some of this so I can...
He's actually drinking coffee. I'm drinking water.
No, there's water in here now. We've tamed down the caffeine train. I probably drink a god-awful amount of this stuff on the day-to-day.
And you can get these on coopsadvice.org.
Yeah, please get like 10. Fill them with coffee, the strongest you have.
Anyway, thank you, man. Thanks for coming in today. I know you're tired. I know.
I wouldn't miss it.
I know, but still, it's rough. You've been up for 24 hours. You get an hour's worth of sleep. You got a girlfriend at home. You got a life other than firefighting, paramedicing, EndOverdose. To come in and do this, I really appreciate it. Everybody appreciates it. And just keep doing what you're doing, and whatever we can do to support you, just ask.
Thank you. And,
you're welcome.
We all really thank you. And thanks for having us here.
Yeah.
It's huge. Part of it too is, I've just been up for like a day. And so like I'm floating around from place to place.
You need to get back. You need to get back to sleep.
Some days it just feels surreal, like it's just like I'll be on the street reviving somebody, and then I'll come and I'll meet you, and I'll hear about all the work that you're doing, how it makes all of those revivals and seeing the worst of what we see, it gives me a lot of hope.
It's the same thing with us, Theo. We live in Cooper's world that he's started, where we perpetuate the discord. We post stuff on social media. We make announcements. We talk to people. We respond to messages from people all over the world. We publish words of encouragement and advice. We interview other people with podcasts. Hopefully that message gets out. I don't know to a degree how effective it is, other than when I get messages or when I see you and what you're doing, and I hear the impact you're having. It's like we're raising money, we're giving grants, we're doing stuff with it on our own, but we're seeing the results of it and how much you've grown and the positive impact you have. 30 plus campuses around the country. Walgreens, festivals. I mean, this stuff didn't exist, 2 years ago. I get to see why Cooper wanted to connect with you. For some reason, it was meant to be. I just believe that's You know, he was led by God to do these things, and he reached out, and we're seeing the reason why continually through our experience with you. So,
All right,
it's
I'm
cool
giving
for
you
me.
a hug. We're giving Harold a hug.
Come here. Get him. Get him. Oh, take him down. Take him down. Oh my God, this guy's huge. Jeez. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're done with number 9. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And for more information, please follow us at the Coop's Advice Foundation.org.